Welcome to How You Pictured It, the podcast for creative entrepreneurs ready to grow their business in a way that feels good. Here you'll find actionable tips and tools to create the business and life you pictured. I'm your host, Kate Hyde with Dear Kate Brand Strategy. Let's get started. Today, I want to talk about a few books that I've absolutely loved and would 100% recommend if you're looking for information on growing your business or just looking for some inspiration. Some of these even help me with personal growth as well. The first one is one you've probably heard of before. It's called Building a StoryBrand by Donald Miller. This book teaches you how to clarify your message so customers will listen. Actually, that's the tagline for the book. But it's about using storytelling to grow your business and using stories to reach your audience more. I read this book a few years ago after attending the Photo Native conference and it being recommended by one of the speakers. I will add that I'm an audiobook listener more than an actual paper and text book reader. So I listened to all of these books that I'm recommending on audio. This one was a little bit hard to follow as an audiobook, and honestly, I felt like it left me wanting more information. The author does sell his program and mentions it in the book several times, so I almost felt like I was buying an ad pitch, basically. With that said, though, it did have a really great message and some really good insights into using story to help drive your business and speak to your customers and explain things. Book number 2 had a similar topic. It's called Made to Stick: Why Some Ideas Survive and Others Die by Chip Heath and Dan Heath. Again, this one talks about using story in your marketing and in your copy to connect with your clients and your audience. This one, though, I felt went further and gave better information than Building a StoryBrand. I would recommend reading both, though, because they do have similar but different information, and I feel like it's always good to get multiple points of view on a topic. I read Made to Stick shortly after reading Building a StoryBrand, and I do recommend reading both because while Building a StoryBrand went into using story and the hero's journey, I felt like Made to Stick had more actionable ideas and helped you put those things into practice and showed you how to use them in your marketing. Book number 3 is totally the opposite direction of 1 and 2. This is more of an inspiration and creativity book. You probably have read it or heard of it. It's called Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert. It's all about creativity and inspiration and learning how to be creative even when you're scared, especially when you're scared. This is a really quick listen, and I've actually listened to it multiple times. It really does help me push beyond the boundaries that I've created for myself. If you end up loving this book, I highly recommend checking out the podcast Magic Lessons. It digs further into the ideas in the book, and some of the episodes, I believe in the second season of Magic Lessons, have guest speakers as well. One area of this book that really stuck out to me was that Elizabeth Gilbert talks about the idea of inspiration and inspiration being more of a living thing that floats from person to person and ideas being a living thing that move from person to person. Along the lines of Big Magic, there's another book that's actually a children's book that I would highly recommend. If you have kids, read this with them as well. The story is beautiful and inspiring. It's called What Do You Do with an Idea? The author of this one is Kobe Yamada. It's a children's book. It's a picture book, but it's so beautiful and it talks about how when you have an idea, you have to nurture it and care for it and turn it into the thing that you thought it would be. It's really a beautiful story and wonderful to read with your kids and goes along with the themes of Big Magic as well. Swinging back to more business-related books, number 5 is They Ask, You Answer by Marcus Sheridan. This is a book about content marketing and sales and using content to answer your clients' questions. It's a lot about SEO and reaching your clients where they're at. This book will teach you how to know what to write about and create content around that attracts ideal customers and turns them into buyers. This book is a little long for what it is, honestly. A good skim of it will get you the information that you need. Book number 6 also falls into that kind of self-help category. This one's called Everything is Figure-Outable by Marie Forleo. If you don't know Marie Forleo, she is a multi-passionate business owner and coach. She has a YouTube channel called Marie TV and a podcast, the Marie Forleo podcast. She is a really motivational person, a great speaker. She also teaches a pretty famous course called B School. Her book, Everything is Figure Outable, is a self-help, self-improvement, and motivational book. I love that it's broken down into short chapters where you can pick it up and put it down wherever you want to. In this book, she talks about how no matter what it is that you want to do, there is a way to do it. It's just something that you have to figure out. You have to put in the time and the research and figure out how to make things work the way that you want them to. She talks about overcoming a lack of time and money. She talks about criticism and imposter syndrome. And she talks about habits that help you achieve your goals. Marie is also the narrator of this book if you do the audiobook, and she has a great voice and a great way of storytelling. So it is a quick listen if you dive into it. And then book number 7 is one that I recently discovered. It's called Let It Be Easy, Simple Ways to Stop Stressing and Start Living. This definitely falls more on the self-help side of things, but I absolutely adore this book and the whole message behind it. This is another book that has really short, quick chapters. The total listening length on this book is only 5 hours and 9 minutes, but it's got over 100 chapters in it. So they're quick stories that help you to see how you can make things easier in your own life and how to get past some of the things that we bog ourselves down with. This book resonated so much with me that it even inspired my word of the year this year, which is ease. I strongly believe in the idea of letting things be easy, taking things the easy way, and finding ways to create the life that we love and want without stressing ourselves out. This book gives you permission to take the easy way as often as possible. So that wraps up the 7 books that I wanted to recommend today, but I do want to tell you about Scribd, which is the service that I use to listen to most books on. It's Scribd. I'll put a link in the show notes for you. We previously used Audible and paid $15 a month for one book, and now we use Scribd, which is $10 a month and gives you unlimited access to audiobooks. There's also ebooks there and other documents and things that you can download. It's a huge library, and I love that it has most of these business books included. A lot of the time I will start a business book and just not jive with it, and it makes me feel okay to put it down and move on to something else because I'm not paying for the individual book. I also use Libby and Hoopla from our local library to save money, but Scribd usually has what I'm looking for, and there's no waiting time or hold time to get those books. All right, that wraps it up for today. I appreciate you listening. If you read one of these books or have other suggestions for me, let me know. I'm always open to learning more. I am such a researcher and I dig deep into learning things all of the time and can easily go down a rabbit hole with audiobooks. So tell me what you're reading and let me know what you think of these suggestions. If you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to How You Pictured It on whatever podcast player you're listening to and leave us a rating or a review. That helps other people find the podcast too. I'll talk to you next week. Have a great one. Bye.